Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my son, Michael Anthony Fitness, Gig Economy, and Reactions. And, most of the time you guys see me at the Red Brick House, at least in the last year, working on the Red Brick House, a labor of love. And my son here, he is the master of my CNC machine, my Inventables that we got almost 2 years ago. In fact, I'm in trouble because he is fine-tuned working with this machine and is doing incredible work and stuff with the.
All you need to do is know how to set it up.
Well, the thing
Set
is,
up- set up
after we got the other software, the Vector software, I just he's been doing
All I
all.
need is another copy of the software, and then you can set up the machine.
Well, I kind of like him being able to actually do that stuff. But we're doing a bunch of things right now. I've got these butcher block cutting boards right here that are 2 inches thick, 24 by 15 inch, and we're actually going to engrave on top of those to customize them. I've ordered some epoxy resin where we'll put dye into it, so that way we'll fill it in so it'll be black, and we'll be able to sand that out so that way the person's name will be able to really stand out. That's going to be really cool. This is actually one of my fans here. I'm doing a butcher block right here for him, and you can see how nice the details and stuff that are in there of him as well. We've got epoxy resin on the top of this as well, finish sanding. As well as I have scrap wood, because this day and age you don't want to waste anything. We've gotten little pieces of wood when I made the big butcher blocks that are left over. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've cut them down to about 1 1/8 thick, and I've got a whole stack of them. So I'm going to make some other cutting boards out of that as well, so we'll have the rainbow look. So we're not wasting any of that. We're not just throwing it into a landfill. And the final thing I'm doing is I'm making doors for the built-in bookcases for the Red Brick House. I did some of the kitchen cabinet doors there in Waynesboro at the house, which worked, but it's not as easy as it is working here in my workshop, because once I glue them up, I can put them through the thickness sander. It'll sand them perfectly flat and all. My 3 horsepower shaper over here makes a much better, cleaner cut and more exact. So this is actually kind of cool, because what we're going to be doing is we have multiple pieces for these. And so these are what are called stile and rail style. So this going across is the rail, and this is the stile. Now, most kitchen cabinets you see right now, of course, have a nice little detail into it. On the raised panel, but we're not going to be doing that because this is more of a shaker style that fits more of the house. But what's going to happen is, this is what's really cool, is basically, put this over here that way. What's going to happen is these pieces are all going to go together, and we'll use a piece of plywood to make the panels that'll fit in here. And once it's dry, once it's dry, then we will sand it in the sander, and we'll square it up and sand the edges on it. So you can see the framework of what we're doing in here. So it'll be a plywood panel, 1/4 inch plywood, and we'll end up painting these, and these will be a nice look. This is very similar to the look that would have been for the time period of when the house was built. And I love trying to make this look much like it was originally. And here's where it gets to be kind of interesting, because we had a family that came over a couple weeks ago, back when we met P. Buckley Moss, that came through the house. There's one of the shows that my wife watches where they're renovating an old, I think, hotel, maybe, or an old house, and they were talking about making it into a bed and breakfast, and they ended up doing it as an Airbnb, and you can actually rent it. But they met some of the people who had lived in the house, and they had pictures of it, and it was really great because they went through the house and were able to see it reliving and could relive a lot of the memories, and that's where we are with this house. Well, Debbie, who is kind of a historian who's going through, and she's doing a lot of the history and stuff on the house, we're kind of taking what she's learned from the books and things like that, and what we have figured out as we've done the house. So she had actually just sent me a text message and asked me if I know when the wood posts on the house would have been done. And looking at turned Victorian posts, I found out that's from like the 1880s, which is about the time period that her ancestors had bought the house. He was a carpenter, and we believe they did the work to put the addition on the house. They had a lot of kids that ended up, of course, being with them, and they would have needed it to have more and more rooms. And so through today and brainstorming with the house, I realized I may have made a mistake on thinking about how the house was done. We know there was originally the brick structure, which has the logs underneath of it, and of course, you see the random widths of wood flooring that are throughout there. And then when you go to the wooden part of the house, you see the 2 1/4 inch milled up flooring that, is more uniform. So we know that back bedroom, bathroom, and the upstairs bedroom were all done at the same time. And I was thinking that originally the kitchen now was the porch that was enclosed, but we may have actually made a mistake on that, because going back through my son here, he can probably verify this. When we were working under the house, that front part of the house we had to rebuild, you have stonework that the 10 by 10s were basically laid on and mortised out for the floor joists. The other part of the house is actually cinder blocks. Cinder blocks became popular in the United States around 1880, about the same time the porch posts were. And the flooring in the kitchen we ended up taking up was actually tongue and groove random whiffs of boards. So it may have actually been that what we thought all along was the front porch, the side porch that was renovated or enclosed to make it the kitchen, may have been the first addition onto the house and was originally the kitchen, and then they added on the other part. And this is one of those things that we don't ultimately know, and I can't wait to actually get back down there, because Debbie has done research and she found a copy of the deed from 1880 that showed the original structure of the house and then the summer kitchen out back. So it was before the addition was put on. So we're learning more and more about this house, of trying to piece it together. And I almost feel like an archaeologist, trying to figure out and piece together all the stuff that we had. Because one other thing, and I've got to find where they are, somewhere in the garage I have, when we were first working under the house in the kitchen, we found like talcum powder tins, and the talcum powder company went out of business in like 1903 or 1904. So that stuff had to have been dropped in there sometime after it was built. So trying to piece together history as well as give you a historic look. That's what we do here with Joe Boo's Day Job. I'm Mark Owens, and I appreciate you.